and questions 27 to 40, which are based on reading passage 3 below. Environmental practices of big business. The environmental practices of big business are shaped by a fundamental fact that for many of us upends our sense of justice. Depending on the circumstances, a business may maximize the amount of money it makes, at least in the short term, by damaging the environment and hurting people. That is still the case today for fishermen in an unmanaged fishery without quotas, and for international logging companies with short-term leases on tropical rainforest land in places with corrupt officials and unsophisticated landowners. When government regulation is effective and when the public is environmentally aware, environmentally clean big businesses may outcompete dirty ones, but the reverse is likely to be true if government regulation is ineffective and if the public doesn't care. It is easy for the rest of us to blame a business for helping itself by hurting other people, but blaming alone is unlikely to produce change. It ignores the fact that businesses are not charities but profit-making companies, and that publicly owned companies with shareholders are under obligation to those shareholders to maximize profits, provided that they do so by legal means. United States laws make a company's directors legally liable for something termed breach of fiduciary responsibility if they knowingly manage a company in a way that reduces profits. The car manufacturer Henry Ford was in fact successfully sued by shareholders in 1919 for raising the minimum wage of his workers to $5 per day. The courts declared that while Ford's humanitarian sentiments about his employees were nice, his business existed to make profits for its stockholders. Our blaming of businesses also ignores the ultimate responsibility of the public for creating the conditions that led a business profit through destructive environmental policies. In the long run, it is the public, either directly or through its politicians, that has the power to make such destructive policies unprofitable and illegal, and to make sustainable environmental policies profitable. The public can do that by using businesses for harming them, as happened after the Exxon Valdez disaster, in which over 40,000 cubic meter of oil were spilled off the coast of Alaska. The public may also make their opinion felt by preferring to buy sustainably harvested products by making employees of companies with poor track records feel ashamed of their company and complain unto their own management by preferring their governments to award valuable contracts to businesses with a good environmental track record, and by pressing the governments to pass and enforce laws and regulations requiring good environmental practices. In turn, big businesses can exert powerful pressure on any suppliers that might ignore public or government pressure. For instance, after the US public became concerned about the spread of disease known as BSE, which was transmitted to humans through infected meat, the US government's Food and Drug Administration introduced rules demanding that the meat industry abandon practices associated with the risk of the disease spreading. But for 5 years, the meat packers refused to follow these, claiming that they would be too expensive to obey. However, when a major fast food company then made the same demands after the customer purchases of its hamburgers plummeted, the meat industry complied within weeks. The public's task is, therefore, to identify which links in the supply chain were sensitive to public pressure, for instance, fast food claims or jewelry stones, but not meat packers or gold miners. Some readers may be disappointed and outraged that I place the ultimate responsibility for business practices harming the public on the public itself. I also believe that the public must accept the necessity for higher prices for products to cover the added cost, if any, of sound environmental practices. My views may seem to ignore the belief that the businesses should act in accordance with moral principles, even if this leads to a reduction in their profits. But I think we have to recognize that throughout human history, in all politically complex human societies, government regulations has arisen precisely because it was found that not only did moral principles need to be made explicit, they also needed to be enforced. To me, the conclusion that the public has the ultimate responsibility for the behavior of even the biggest businesses is empowering and hopeful rather than disappointing. My conclusion is not a moralistic one about who is right or wrong, admirable or selfish, a good guy or a bad guy. In the past, businesses have changed. In the past, businesses have changed when the public came to expect and require different behavior, to reward businesses for behavior that the public wanted, and to make things difficult for businesses practicing behaviors that the public did not want. I predict that in the future, just as in the past, changes in public attitudes will be essential for changes in businesses' environmental practices. Questions 27 to 31 complete the summary using the list of words 8J below. Write the correct letter 8J in boxes 27 to 31 on your answer sheet. Big businesses. Many big businesses today are prepared to harm people and the environment in order to make money, and they appear to have no moral standards. Indeed, a lack of control by governments and lack of public involvement and lead into environmental problems such as overfishing or the destruction of trees. Questions 32 to 34. Choose the correct letter A, B, C, or D and write the correct letter in boxes 32 to 34 on your answer sheet. The main idea of the third paragraph is that environmental damage could be prevented by the action of ordinary people. In the fourth paragraph, the writer describes ways in which the public can influence the environmental policies of businesses and governments. What pressure was exerted by big business in the case of the disease BSE? A fast food company forced their meat suppliers to follow the law. Questions 35 to 39. Do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer in reading passage 3? In boxes 35 to 39 on your answer sheet, write yes if the statement agrees with the claims of the writer, no if the statement contradicts the claims of the writer, not given if it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. The public should be prepared to fund good environmental practices. There is a contrast between the moral principles of different businesses, not given. It is important to make a clear distinction between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. No. The public have successfully influenced businesses in the past, not given. In the future, businesses will show more concern for the environment. Not given. In the future, businesses will show more concern for the environment, not given. The public have successfully influenced businesses in the past, yes. In the future, businesses will show more concern about the environment, not given. Question 40. Choose the correct letter A, B, C, or D. Write the correct letter in box 40 on your answer sheet. What would be the best subheading for this passage? Are big businesses to blame for the damage they cause the environment? D.